What's up, people? Welcome back to Daily Red Devil, and welcome to the latest installment of our Topic Focus series, where each episode we deep dive into a different topic around Manchester United. Before we get started, I do ask that you smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and let's jump straight on into this one. Now, on today's video, we're going to be exploring what Erik ten Hag's master plan is. We're going to be looking about how Erik ten Hag is ultimately going to play both Rashford and Rasmus Hojlund in the same team. Now, this has been a question that lots and lots of you have been asking me in the chat. Lots of people have been saying, I don't understand how we're going to just have Rashford as the striker. Sorry, just going to have Hojlund as the striker. You know, we need more power than that. Hojlund on his own is not going to get us 30 goals this season, which I do agree with. So there has been a bit of clarity that's come out today, which I wanted to kind of focus around the topics of this video. So you can see both of these quotes at the bottom of your screen kind of moving along. So we've had a quote coming out from Samuel Lutkehurst and from Laurie Whitwell. The first one comes out from Samuel Lutkehurst saying that Manchester United have provisionally planned for Marcus Rashford to play as a centre forward in certain games to ease Rasmus Hojlund's adaptation to English football. So as you can see on my screen, we have here the kind of proposed lineup with this in mind on the right-hand side. So yeah, from what's being reported today, it looks like Rashford will be used as a striker this season in some matches, with Rasmus Hojlund being on the left, which is slightly different. It's not what probably a lot of us were thinking, but it does look like, that Rashford will be played as a striker this season by Erik ten Hag. That's what's being reported today from Laurie Whitwell in the Manchester Evening News. Now, I know quite a few of you are a bit unsure about Rashford as a striker. I think it can work, I do. And I think with the current options we have at the moment, we don't have any strikers. Rashford clearly is good at finishing. He's clinical. He's not maybe the most natural centre forward. He is better on the wing, but in our current predicament where we don't have any strikers at all, I can see why this kind of story and this master plan of Erik ten Hag is being mentioned, because you throw in someone like Rasmus Hojlund and everyone's expecting 20 to 30 goals a season, and it's not going to happen. So at least you know if you have Marcus Rashford who can play in that same position, yes, it's not maybe his best position, but he can still do a job in the striker position. But what do you guys think about this one? What do you think about this story coming out that apparently ten Hag's master plan for the season is that Marcus Rashford will play as a centre forward in certain games to ease Rasmus Hojlund's adaptation to English football? I mean, it makes complete sense to me. It really, really does. I do prefer Rashford on the left, if I'm completely honest with you, but I just don't think that Rasmus Hojlund on his own is going to be enough for us to reach our targets of this season. And I just think that the amount of pressure that we'd be putting on a 20-year-old player to come into a new league, to come to the biggest club in the world, playing Champions League football, and then we expect him to score, 20, 30 goals a season. It's completely unrealistic. So I am glad that there has been a bit more clarity around what Erik ten Hag's plan is, because I've been sat here scratching my head for the past couple of days saying, everyone's obsessing about Rasmus Hojlund, me included. I really, really want him, but I just don't think he's going to solve all of our problems immediately. And the story that Rashford is ultimately going to be used as a striker next season, I do actually quite like, purely just based on what we have in our squad at the moment. Obviously, if you said to me, we can sign Harry Kane as well, and Rashford never has to play as a striker ever again, I would 100% do that. But obviously, we're not in that position to do that right now. So yeah, this is my kind of predicted lineup for the beginning of the season. So yeah, that's one of them, and then we'll jump over to the other one right now. So here we go. So what we do expect to happen in the majority of games, to be very, very clear, is that Hojlund will be the striker. Okay, we're buying him as a striker, but the thing you have to remember is Rasmus Hojlund has played on the wings for Atalanta before. He's played on the left wing quite a lot, and I think he has played on the right wing as well. He can play in any of those front three positions, but his kind of best position is the striker role. I think that is probably one of the reasons that Erik ten Hag is so keen on him, though, because he is versatile. He can play on the left, he can play on the right, and he can play down the middle. So I do think, I do think he's a really good option for that, just because, you know, you want to bring in somebody who can play across any of those front three positions, and Rasmus Hojlund is somebody who can 100% do that. So yeah, I think the majority of games we will see Rasmus Hojlund as the striker, but as Laurie Whitwell says today, as Samuel Lutkehurst says today, there is kind of a plan in place that Erik ten Hag expects to play Marcus Rashford as the striker for some of the season. I assume that's them assuming that they won't then sign a second striker, because if Rashford's going to be the second striker and then maybe even Jadon Sancho plays as a false nine now and again, does that mean that Manchester United then don't actively go and get another striker? You know, do we just go for Rasmus Hojlund? That's the bit I'm not too sure about at this moment. I still would like to see us get another striker as well as Rasmus Hojlund, because I do think Rashford is better on the left personally. I think he can do a job down the middle. I really, really do. But I'm not entirely sure about him playing every single game, in the striker position, because I simply don't think he's that good in that position, to be completely honest with you. But do let me know in the comment section, guys. How do you feel about Marcus Rashford being a striker next season? I do think it's kind of obvious. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I did kind of think that this bit of news was coming, that Marcus Rashford was going to play as more of a striker next season, because at the end of the day, we don't have any strikers at all. We don't. Jadon Sancho can't play as a striker every game for us. He just simply cannot. So, yeah. And then the story also goes on to say, this is coming from Laurie Whitwell, that Manchester United are planning to give Rasmus Hojlund time to settle by not making him an automatic starter. So they're pretty much saying that he might not even start matches. Laurie Whitwell saying Manchester United will not make him an automatic starter and even possibly play Rasmus Hojlund on the left while Marcus Rashford plays up front. So the stories that are coming out today are even saying that there's potential that Rasmus Hojlund won't even be starting the matches. He'll be coming off the bench. I mean, that's a little bit confusing. But then if you actually look at, what he's done for Atalanta over the last season, he has been coming off the bench a lot. If you actually watch some of the games for Atalanta, Rasmus Hojlund starts as a substitute in most of the games. I know people will say he only scored 9 goals, but if you actually look at the stats from last season, I think it works out he scored a goal every other game if you calculate the minutes, because most of his appearances last year were off the bench. He didn't start a lot of the games, and I think this story coming out from Laurie Whitwell is almost saying that Manchester United's plan is kind of the same for him. He's not going to come in and he's not going to be immediately starting every single match. He's not going to be an automatic starter. They don't mind Rashford playing there, which is interesting. I guess it does show us that Ten Hag does has this plan. He does have some sort of idea of how he wants to develop Rasmus Hojlund. And from what this story is saying, it does look like it's kind of a long-term vision for Rasmus Hojlund. It's not he's going to come in, play every single match, and then, be scoring 20, 30 goals every single game, because I simply don't think that will happen. So I am a little bit more reassured than I was this morning, just simply because it's good to know that there is a plan. I have full faith in Ten Hag, and as the title says, it's Erik's master plan. Erik does have a master plan for everything, and it seems his master plan is that Marcus Rashford will be playing as a striker, and Hojlund will look like he'll probably be coming off the bench quite a lot. He's not going to be an automatic starter. That's what the story is that's coming out today. Because let me know in the comments section, guys, did you all expect Rasmus Hojlund to come in and be starting every single match for Manchester United? Was that your expectation, or did you kind of predict what we're talking about today to be happening, where Erik Ten Hag's vision is, he'll come in, but he's not going to be starting every match. He'll come off the bench. I think that's way more realistic. And although some people will say, well, why the hell are we spending 60 million on him if we can't even start him? I think it makes sense, because for me, Rasmus Hojlund is someone who in 5 years is going to be world class. I think it could take, 2, 3, 4 years to develop him into the player that he needs to be. And if we throw him in at the deep end, if we chuck him straight on the pitch and expect him to get 20, 30 goals in a season, I'm telling you, the press are going to eat him up. They'll say £60 million, he's not scoring goals, he should be getting 30 goals. You know what I mean? You can already picture it. So I do actually really like this master plan from Ten Hag, where he's kind of already putting these stories out to legitimate people in the media in the UK, saying, he's part of the long-term plan. He's not going to be an automatic starter. We have Rashford, who we're going to play as a striker. We might even try him out on the wing, etc., etc. Yeah. But if you're asking my opinion, I haven't given my opinion on it yet. I don't really like Marcus Rashford as a striker. I think he's much better on the wing. On the left, I really, really like him. Obviously, he has scored a few goals as a striker last season, didn't he? He got a couple of headers and stuff. I think he has improved, so I think he could do the striker role next season, but it wouldn't be my kind of automatic choice. But at this stage, we don't have any strikers, so it does make sense. And I would much rather have Rashford as a striker than kind of throw, this 20-year-old Rasmus Hojlund into the team immediately, expecting so much from him with so much pressure, so much baggage, a massive price tag, him come in and then not score any goals in his first few matches, and then already you'll have the press saying he's a flop and all the rest of it. I just don't think that's a good way to manage a player of that age. If he was a 26-year-old, 27-year-old in his prime who just scored 30 goals in the French league, you would say, yes, he needs to start every single game without fail and we want 20 goals from him. But we can't have that level of expectations for him. So I do quite like this plan that's come out from Erik Ten Hag, that he does kind of expect him to be, on the left, to be down the middle. Yeah, and he ultimately is versatile. And the key thing here, which I want everyone to remember, is The story coming out today is that he is not going to be an automatic starter. That's what Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic is reporting, that ultimately Rasmus Hojlund will be given time to settle and will not be an automatic starter. So it will be maybe kind of half bits of bits of games here, bits of games there, which I do think is the right decision. We've got a super chat here, which I'll read out really quickly. So Yoni, thank you for your super chat, mate. Yoni says, why are we playing inverted wingers? Naturally, Rashford, right foot, right wing. Anthony, natural, left foot, or Garnacho, use our speed and get quality crosses into Hojlund. 100% agree with you, mate. 100%. I mean, Sancho's better on the right, but we always play him on the left. Yeah, we need to get those two wingers learning how to cross the ball, because otherwise you could put any striker in world football up front for Manchester United and they wouldn't score, okay? It's absolutely essential that Anthony and Marcus Rashford learn to cross the ball, because otherwise it's just completely pointless, isn't it? It really is. But yeah, this is what I think will probably happen quite a lot next season. I think Hojlund will probably come off the bench quite a lot. He won't be an automatic starter, and he will feature on the left. That's what's been reported today from Laurie Whitwell. They do expect him to play some of his minutes on the left of on the left wing, because as I said, he's done that for Atalanta. He's not played as a striker every single game for Atalanta, so but yeah, I thought this was a really interesting one, and I think it's one to kind of look into and to deep dive into. I'm sure people will say, why are we talking about Rasmus Hojlund? He hasn't signed yet, but to be honest with you, if Rasmus Hojlund doesn't sign now, it is an absolute disgrace. So I thought it was an interesting video to do, to kind of deep dive into a topic, to see how we could line up with our kind of potential signings. Obviously, every other person on my kind of lineup screen on my lineup sheet on the screen has already signed. So I do expect the rest of those players obviously to still be here next season. The only kind of question mark is whether Rasmus Hojlund will sign, but I do think he will sign. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. Obviously, if you think he's not going to sign, then that's obviously up to you. I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. It was just a quick one to kind of to talk a little bit about how Manchester United could line up with the signing of Marcus Rashford and the new addition of Hojlund, how we'll kind of work out the striker situation, where people will play, and how we can make it work, because it is a question that I get asked so many times. Is Rasmus Hojlund going to be enough? Don't we need another striker? Is he going to score 20 to 30 goals? What's the plan? Everyone's saying we should have bought a striker 3 months ago. Why are we still talking about a striker? But clearly Erik ten Hag has this plan, and his plan is that Rashford will be used as a striker this season. That's kind of been confirmed by both Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic and Samuel Luckhurst in the Manchester Evening News today. So I did think it was an interesting topic to discuss. As always, do let me know in the comments section how you feel about this one. Do you like Rashford as a striker? Do you think that Hojlund should be starting, or do you like the idea of him being a bench player to begin with? For me personally, I think he definitely shouldn't be starting every single game at this point in his career. I think it's too much pressure. I don't think he's ready for that yet. And I do see him as someone in 2 or 3 years will be world class. I just don't think he's at that point yet. So let me know in the comment section. And if you think he's not even going to sign, why are we talking about this? Then obviously let me know on that one as well. I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Please do smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. This has been Daily Red Devil. You've been watching the Topic Focus series, where each week we try and deep dive into a different topic around Manchester United. If you've enjoyed this, if you have any other suggestions on different topics we should discuss, different questions that you think would make an interesting show, please do let me know in the comment section, as I would love to get some of you guys' opinions on this series. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Lots of love. Peace out.